In this lesson, we will talk about how you can prevent phishing attacks from occurring in your enterprise networks. Now, these days, phishing attacks have become one of the most persuasive attack vectors used by attackers. These phishing attacks and campaigns focuses on tricking individuals into revealing sensitive information that can lead to significant financial loss and data breaches in your organization. However, by implementing the right strategies and providing user security awareness training, the threat of a successful phishing campaign against your organization can be mitigated effectively. An anti-phishing campaign is an essential user security awareness training tool that can be used to educate individuals about the risk of phishing and how to best identify potential phishing attempts. These anti-phishing campaigns typically involve some training being provided to your users and then the performance of a simulated phishing campaign against your organization by an outside contractor or software as a service platform that can provide your users with some practical experience in spotting and responding to potential phishing attempts. To help prevent phishing, your organization should regularly conduct user security awareness training that contains coverage of the various phishing techniques such as phishing, spear phishing, whaling, business email compromise, phishing, and smishing, along with other relevant cyber threats and attacks that may affect your organization. This training should also highlight the common characteristics of phishing emails, including generic greetings, spelling and grammar errors, and spoofed email addresses. These security training programs and their associated anti-phishing campaigns should be an ongoing effort since cybersecurity threats are continually evolving. As part of these anti-phishing campaigns, your organization should also provide in-depth remedial training for any of your users fall victim to the simulated phishing emails. Now, the best way to prevent being the victim of a phishing attack is to be able to recognize a potential phishing attempt. There are some commonly used key indicators that are associated with phishing attacks, including urgency, unusual requests, mismatched URLs, strange email addresses, and poor spelling or grammar being used in the emails received from an attacker. First, we have urgency. Phishing emails often create a sense of urgency by prompting the recipient to act immediately. For example, if a user receives an email that states that they want a brand new iPhone, but must click on a link to claim their prize within the next 4 hours or the offer will expire, this is usually an indication of a phishing attack. Second, we have unusual requests. If you receive an email requesting sensitive information such as passwords or credit card numbers, you should treat these emails with a lot of suspicion. Remember, your technical support team will never contact you asking you for your login information, and your bank will never ask you for your credit card number over an email or a phone call. Both of these kinds of requests should set up an alarm bell anytime you see them. Third, we have a mismatched URL. Did you know when you see a website link in an email, it doesn't always take you to the place that it says it will? When you're looking at an HTML-based email, the words you're reading are called the display text, but the underlying URL of the web link could be set to anything you want. For example, I can send you an email saying, click here, and the words click here are not a URL, but the URL linked to those words might be for the homepage of diontraining.com. Alternatively, phishing attacks that rely on brand impersonation often says one thing like paypal.com/login, but when you click it, you'll be redirected to a malicious URL of paypal.hacked.xyz or something like that. To check if the text-based link matches the underlying URL, you should always hover your mouse over the link in the email for a few seconds, and this will reveal the actual URL that the link is connected to. If the text-based URL, like paypal.com, doesn't match the underlying URL shown when you hover over the link, then it most likely is an email that is trying to attempt a phishing attack. While this is an old and simple trick, users in our modern enterprise network still fall for this technique time and time again. So you and your users must always practice caution when clicking on links inside of an email. Fourth, we have email addresses. When you receive an email, you should always check the sender's email. Just like a URL being displayed in the email address you see is just a text-based display name and not the actual email address that sent the message. If you want to see the real email address, you can either hover over the display email address or double-click the display email address to see the underlying email address. If the real email address and the displayed email address don't match, then the email should be treated as suspicious and possibly part of a phishing campaign. Similarly, if the organization's official domain is not used by the email, or if the email address is overly complicated, both of these are good signs that the email might be part of an attempted phishing attack. This is probably one of the most commonly used techniques in phishing emails, and I see them at least a few times a day in my inbox. Whether the email is from a person claiming to be a Microsoft tech support, PayPal, the Amazon customer support team, or a popular financial institution, when I hover over the email and see that the email is something like mr.weirdo578@yahoo.com, I know this is clearly a phishing attempt, and I mark the email as spam and move on with my day without clicking on any of the links in the email. Fifth, and finally, we have poor grammar and spelling. Most professional organizations typically proofread their emails before sending them out to customers. If an email has a lot of broken English, poor grammar, or numerous spelling errors, it is likely to be part of a phishing campaign. These days, though, many attackers can write properly worded emails without any grammar or spelling errors relatively easy using generative AI products like ChatGPT and Google Bard to avoid being caught by this commonly sought after indicator of a phishing attack. With that being said, you will still find a ton of phishing emails that uses broken English, poor grammar, and contain numerous spelling errors. And you may be wondering why that is. Well, the reason is simple. If the phishing emails are too well done, everyone will fall for it, and this would simply overwhelm the attacker's ability to act on the phished user's information. So many attackers have chosen to purposely include clues that their emails are phishing emails so that they can quickly weed out those who are more suspicious by nature and would catch the grammar and spelling errors. This leaves the phisher with only people who are more gullible and are likely to be more profitable for the attack over time than users who are better trained and more suspicious. So if you suspect an email as part of a phishing campaign, what should you do? Personally, I recommend that you promptly report suspicious messages to help your organization mitigate the risk of a phishing attack being successful against others on that network. Each organization has its own policies, which may include deleting the suspected phishing email, forwarding it to your security team's inbox like phishing@yourdomain.com, or procedures that your organization has chosen to use. If you are working as a cybersecurity professional and you are asked to triage potential phishing attacks, you should first analyze the reported messages to confirm whether it's a phishing attempt using the commonly used and known indicators like urgency, unusual requests, mismatched URLs, suspicious email addresses, and poor spelling and grammar in the message. It is also important to inform all users about the threat, as other users might have also received a similar phishing email directed at your organization. In your notification or broadcast email, you should remind the enterprise users that they should not click on any link inside of the suspected phishing emails or provide any kind of sensitive or personal information to the attacker. If the phishing email was open or any of the links in the email were clicked, you should conduct a quick investigation and triage all of the user systems to determine if there was any potential damage caused by the attack. Lastly, if the phishing campaign was successful, the organization should use this incident as an opportunity to review and update their security countermeasures, such as updating spam filters or conducting additional user security awareness training. So remember, preventing phishing attacks requires a combination of effective training, vigilance in recognizing phishing attempts, and a swift response to reported suspicious messages. By implementing these strategies, individuals and organizations can significantly reduce their risk of falling victim to phishing threats.